Hello. I'm making a video. I need to talk about the debates that are going on right now between the candidates for governor in California, and it is chaos. It's like a bunch of mafia collaborators that are all basically offering this exact same thing, but they are in competition with each other because everyone wants to be the one that makes the money and gets all the bribe money from corporations and from the underworld and all of that. So Barack Obama apparently made, I don't know, like it was like $20-30 million during his time in the White House. How did he make that much money? There's only one explanation for it. He got paid by the underworld string holders, okay, the ones that work for George Soros, the ones that, no, George Soros works for them, the ones that hire George Soros, okay, from those, and other corporate interest groups and so on. So that's what's going on. And so everyone wants, they want their piece of cake, of that big underworld cake that they have for them. So is there anyone decent among them? So now, on second thought, first of all, I wrote under the video where they under the debate, I wrote, I'm going to vote for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, there, I said it. But unfortunately, I've asked Arnold Schwarzenegger on X many times, please come back. Please come back. Please, Terminator, be back. Okay, but he doesn't even see my comment because it falls under the radar. I'm heaven banned and all of that. Elon Musk doesn't even know that I'm heaven banned. He doesn't know how many people are heaven banned on his website. It's the infiltrators that are sent in there all the time that are doing that heaven ban. The people that actually have something of substance to say. So it is very tragic, all of this. But we need Governor Arnold back, okay, but he is not running. And so what do we have there that is halfway decent? That, I mean, if you have to vote, who do you vote for? So, two people, Chad Bianco and that guy Paris Hilton. No, he has a different first name, but the same last name. So, Hilton from England. Okay, he seems to be on the top now, together with Becerra, so they are about on the same level. But I see that the overall approval rating of all of them is quite low, so it doesn't surprise me. If Arnold Schwarzenegger was among them, he would have 99% of approval rating. So I already know this for 100% certain. So Governor Newsom has 0 approval rating. That's the truth, okay? Maybe some cartel collaborators will click on him, but the rest, the average actual person that works hard and tries to keep their house in California, no, they don't give Newsom any approval rating at all. So, so who do they vote for? Probably Chad, Bianco, and Hilton. Okay, so can't remember the first name. I have to look that up again. But yeah, my hair is all over the place. My hair looks like a flower, like that guy that he will interrupt. He has a haircut like me. Oh, no, not exactly like me. I have much shorter bangs. But his hair is like a flower too, like my hair. And he was talking to this real famous scientist from Asia. And in the middle, while the guy was talking, this flower hair guy interrupts his guest rudely and says, "Oh, does my hair look like a flower?" And the Asian guy's like, "What?" Like, I mean, he didn't say anything, but he had a look on his face like, "What am I getting into here?" So, I mean, what kind of interview is that? And all of this for some lousy commercial, like some kind of hairspray that he invented or something. I mean, that is the rudest thing in the whole world. It really is. But anyway, let's not get off the subject here. So, that guy's probably woke too. He wants Governor Newsom to keep being the governor. So that's probably his number one choice because, yeah, that he makes a lot of money selling his hairspray to woke people. He doesn't care if people lose their homes and if I've smudged there on the screen. Yeah, most people, they're just interested in their own personal gain, whatever, however ridiculous or criminal it is. And they don't care if old white people and old Asian people are losing their homes in California to excessive property tax rates. And they end up in vans and motorhomes on the street. Maybe they'll go to the how does you call this, like a rubber rendezvous in Quartzsite, Arizona. That's where all the retired old white people go in their motorhomes because they can't afford property tax anymore. That wasn't their idea of the American dream when they worked for 70 years at Rite Aid cleaning the filthy floors. Okay, so that's their idea was, if I can just last just a little bit longer cleaning this filthy floor at Rite Aid or Safeway, right? Or McDonald's. Then one day I have saved enough so I can buy my $200,000 dream house, the American dream house. And I can have a vegetable garden and I can do my crocheting and I can have my dog in the garden running around and the sun is shining on my flowers, and then I finally have that retirement paradise that I dreamed of for 70 years while I was scrubbing the floor at McDonald's or Burger King. But no, no. Don't be too happy right up front, right? Wait, see who gets elected down the hill of all of these decades in California. Okay, so a criminal who will take your house away from you, okay, and bring you into a motorhome so that you can meet all of these other colleagues at Quartzsite, Arizona, in your yearly homeless old people gathering festival. Okay, it's a little bit like Burning Man, but better. Okay, so cleaner. They don't leave as much trash behind. Those are the ones that you want as a neighbor, not the rapper, not the one that hammers himself literally into the face. Okay, those are not the ones you want as neighbors. No. Or the woke people that are doing methamphetamine and that are screaming all day long and playing some Soundgarden music or some diarrhea shit like that. Okay, so I've had neighbors just like that. Okay, yeah, they played Soundgarden. It's not a garden. No, it's not. It's sound, but not the kind of sound that makes you well. So no, you want to stay away from that. You want to stick to the person that scrubbed floors for 70 years and is now listening to Ballade number 1 by Chopin. Okay, so that's the neighbor you want. Okay, so I'm just throwing it all out there. That's the truth, that's the facts. And so you make your choices in these debates between the people running for governor in California. So Hilton and Bianco. These are two choices that you have. You don't have any other choices. All the other choices are like downhill from here. Okay? It will just get worse from here. You thought this is already the worst. You're mistaken. No, it will dwindle down so fast down into the ultimate abyss. Into hell abyss it will dwindle down. It will dwindle down so far that they can just open up the borders and it will be just like South America. And it will be like Colombia, and then they all move to California anyway, and it will be, and you can move to Colombia and see if you can have a good retirement there with your motorhome. Probably not a good idea, okay, because you will get framed for marijuana, which is, it's just some kind of, it's a trick to get money out of you. And in California, it's come to the point now where when a person squats longer than a month on your property, you will not get rid of that person. And there are people that do this as a profession. Those people are the real shysters. And those are also people, those are psychopathic, and they don't even have a sense of dignity at all to squat on someone else's property. And if they squat there for over a month, then the police can't even kick them out, can't even arrest them. Then you're going to have to go through court trials and you have to get lawyers. You spent a lot of money, and there are some homeless people that will say, okay, I'll charge you $30,000 and I will exit your property, but you have to pay me $30,000. And that ends up sometimes to be cheaper than getting a lawyer and going through grueling lawsuits and for years and years, while you are the one paying for the property tax and not living there, because you can't live there anymore, because that person has a methamphetamine farm now on your property. So that's why you can't live there anymore. And they've also shitted on your floor and into your bed. And I've seen it all on the internet. Okay, I've seen all of this. And they have brought cockroaches in, and they brought rats and mites. they, they already slept in your bed, and it's really bad. Okay, I am not exaggerating at all. So that's kind of like not what I want from a state that I live in. That's not the kind of state I want to live in. That's not the California I thought I knew from the past. You know, the Golden State, California's gold. So Hugh Hauser would be absolutely shocked. He would be in shock if he saw what was happening to his beautiful California. He would be in absolute horror about all of this. That's a fact. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, it's not fun to get all angry and upset, and then you cry, you might not even sleep very well, and that might not be good for your looks. You get rings under your eyes like I do. Okay. But if everyone was like chill with Governor Newsom, if everyone was like, oh, it doesn't matter what happens, let the cartels take over everything, then it will get bad very, very fast. And it will affect also the people that think that are immune to all of this. It will affect everyone. And I mean, even if you're rich, you have someone working for you, they will be miserable because their lives will be made miserable by Newsom or Becerra. And it will be the drug cartels, the human trafficking cartels that will be running everything. So you will think it has law and order, but that's just on the surface. Right underneath, you see they will be running the police department. The police department will not even exist anymore. It will become anarchy. Then the good police officers, they will, if we're lucky, they will have courage and create a good militia to protect the innocent beings in California from being trafficked or organ harvested. And the rest of them, 80%, the other 80% of the police department, they will join the cartels because the pay is good, so they'll go with that, and they will do corruption, and they will hurt people, and they will snitch on people, they will turn people, innocent people in, and so on and on. On and on and on and on and on. Just like those snitchers during the Holocaust that would go out there and try to find kind-hearted Jewish people and then turn them into the regime to be found and be brought to a concentration camp. And that might happen again with Javier Becerra. Okay, so if you vote for him, don't blame me if things go falling into the abyss and will become 100% like South America, will become 100% anarchy and hell for everyone. Okay, so don't do it. That's my personal advice to you. Don't do it. Don't go down that route. Okay, so this has nothing to do anymore with right versus left, or it just so happened that all the Democratic candidates are on the side of human traffickers, okay, whether they know it or not, they are. And someone like me wouldn't even be admitted into the Democratic Party. Someone like me would never stand a chance to even be able to run under the Democratic Party. So I used to be a Democrat. So that obviously it changed when the Democratic Party was taken over by the underworld, okay, by the cartels. And that was when Barack Obama was instated. So ever since then, the Democratic Party doesn't exist anymore. It's just a facade. So that doesn't mean I switch over to another party, because every party is owned by the underworld. It's just that this or that party might do worse than the other party. So that's the only difference. They might do even worse than the other party. Because the other party, like the Republican Party, at least they have some things that some platform points that they're standing on that can't be ruled out of the way that fast through the underworld. So then the underworld will find a different route with them to make the world into hell. They will log the trees, and for example, Hilton wants to log the trees. So I'm not for him, okay? I'm against him. But if it's between Becerra and Hilton, then and I have the feeling Becerra would log the trees too. So then it's a choice between shit and diarrhea. Okay, that's basically what it is. And so maybe the normal bowel movement is better than the diarrhea bowel movement. So I'm just saying. So if you choose diarrhea, then you will get the logging and the human traffickers. You get both in one ticket. My goodness. What a bargain, right? And you will lose your house too. So if you vote for Hilton, you get the regular bowel poop. You probably pushing unclean energy sources, logging, environmental degradation. But at least he'll kick some of the criminals out. So that's the least they can do for the Republican Party. So that is a strong platform point that they're sitting on, that they can't tweak away that fast. So, but what the Republican Party doesn't offer is environmentalism. And that's where the underworld steps in, that they see their opportunity there for clear cutting and exploitation of environmental resources and the degradation of wetlands and bird sanctuaries. Okay, so, and that's hell too. And so, but Becerra will do all of it. Okay, so that's the only difference. So, yeah. So the other ones are not really. That Hilton is not really decent, but just one notch better than Becerra. Okay, and my choice is Chad Bianco. So I don't know how Bianco feels about Proposition 12 or protecting the wetlands and the forests. Probably not, because he's probably not concerned about it. And that's sad, but he might not be into logging and clear cutting like Hilton, right? So I have the feeling he'll be a little bit better than Hilton with that. Okay, it causes me a heart attack, all of that. But anyway, it makes me pale like a ghost. Like, very much like David Wilcock. When I see my face, reminds me of David Wilcock. So, all exhausted and just. But I get angry, and David Wilcock gets just disillusioned. That's the difference. And what's better, being disillusioned or being angry? I really don't know which one is better. So, but maybe being angry and letting anger out, even in any way, as Thich Nhat Hanh said, is not good. But you can cry it out, and I cry it out every single day. So that's what I do. But being disillusioned, that's probably really bad. That's unempowerment. That's the lowest point on Esther Hicks' scale of the empowerment scale. So is when someone is helpless and disillusioned. That's rock bottom. I don't wish that on anyone, to feel like that. Okay, that's really awful. And I don't allow myself to feel that way under any circumstance. I was thinking earlier about that lady that was driven down a ravine with her child on the back seat. The child survived. She died, and she couldn't leave her child there, dying there. Gruesome death. So she left her body and appeared naked on the side of the highway at night. Many people saw her, the naked ghost. One guy, probably also driven by lust, and that's why she appeared naked. Okay, so he got out of the car, and she said, "Follow me." He followed her, didn't expect to see what he saw. Okay. Suddenly, the ghost was gone, and he saw that very woman, dressed, dead on the steering wheel, with blood all over her. He looks into the car. He sees the child still breathing and alive. And because he was a kind-hearted person, he opens the door, he gets the child out, brings the child into his car, and he drives to the next hospital and saves the child's life. Okay, and that's what some ghosts do. They do that. I talked about this before in my videos. I would do it 100%. You bet I will do it. And then I was thinking that the ghost did not do anything else. She wasn't mad, or she didn't act anything out. There's another ghost, the Blue Fire Witch. She did act out, and I don't blame her for a second, not for a second, okay, because of what happened to her during the 1800s. So in Seattle, and I think it was in Seattle or somewhere there, somewhere in Washington. During the 1800s, they burned down her house. She happened to not be in the house, and they burned down all of her children. So, of course, she will come back, and she will make people's lives hell and miserable. Okay, and I don't blame her for a second, not for a second. Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Don't do it. Don't use the supernatural for your hate and anger agenda, revenge, and so on." That's easier said than done. It's very easy, of course, to make a statement like this, but he's still right. He's right about it. And I had to think about this for a while. I had to think about this. And it doesn't feel so good, you know. It doesn't feel good. David Wilcock, he is a very advanced soul. So he doesn't do that. He doesn't do revenge or anger. He won't go into those emotions. But I do. Because I'm not as advanced. And David Wilcock is one of these people that, as I already said, the sonnet, who will basically hold the other cheek. Trust me, Jesus Christ himself was not a sonnet. No. What you hear about Jesus Christ that's an ideology. That is not what the actual person was about. He may have said that it's not good to be angry, it's not good to go into rage. But in actuality, he felt a lot of rage. So I know this intuitively because the Jesus Christ soul also was the Medusa. So if you don't know who the Medusa is, I'm not going to get into it now. Look it up. Read everything about who Medusa was. Okay. And the Blue Fire Witch, I don't know. I'm guessing she may have been an indigo. She may have been a light worker, but not higher than that, because if she was angel soul, she would not come back as a ghost and make people's lives miserable. She would know better. She would have ascended and transcended this kind of mental state. We get carried away with revenge feelings, and I understand how that can carry us away. Okay, I understand it very well because I've been in those mental states many, many times. But I recently have, just in the last 2 decades, I have come to understand that that's not the path to walk on. Revenge actions are not the solution. It will just make things worse. It's war. That's what it is. Let's not do war. I am for peace. I'm a peace proponent. I'm a peace activist. I'm a peace philosopher. And I have come to understand this now. So it took me, this was the last lifetime where I had to finally come to understand this. So now during this lifetime, I have made it to that level. I'm not angel yet, but I've made it to that understanding. So that is the last stages of indigo. So I will come back as indigo another many times, maybe another 100 times or so, before I make it all the way to the angel level. And that will happen during a lifetime while I am an animal. And very, very much to the mercy of someone who's harsh and then someone will come and rescue me. And that's when all of this will be clear. And where there's no more return to any other previous stage. So right now, I still have thoughts of revenge, which I'm unhappy about. I have monstrous thoughts against my brother, against Governor Newsom, but I'm not acting it out. I have thoughts where I think, oh, that maybe someone else can act that out on them. And then I instantly know this is not the path I want to go on. Not because I'm wise. I'm not that wise. I'm not that advanced. I suffer terribly from anger and schizophrenia and OCD and avoidance. It's very bad. Very bad. But I have a very clear mind. Very sharp, clear mind. And I'm grateful for that. I don't want to lose that. Okay. I want to keep my beautiful brain. Okay. So, but I also don't want to die like a sonnet does, holding the other cheek and saying, yeah, it's okay, criminal. Okay, you don't know better. Just here, stab me in my other pink cheek, or shoot another bullet round into my head or something like this. No, that I will not say. I don't know how I would react if I was being tortured by someone. These thoughts occur a lot. It has to do with schizophrenia. Sometimes I don't know if those are actually my own thoughts or they come from another entity or several entities that are malignant. I don't know. But this is school. Okay, all of this is soul school. All of that. There is not a single thing that is not part of our deliberate soul school. Okay, all of this is soul contract also. We signed up for it. Doesn't feel like it now once we're in existence. But in between existence, in between the physical, we come up with those kind of things. We say, I think I wasn't doing so well with this yet. I better come back and check this out. And I better work myself through the grind of this and see if I learn something good, something that moves me forward towards wisdom, okay, towards unconditional love and kindness. Because in the moment I'm in a mental state of revenge, I am not practicing unconditional love. Okay, that's for sure. So I know there's a lot of people that feel like me, and I don't blame you for a second. I don't blame the Blue Fire Witch for a second for coming back again and again at the same souls that have tortured her children to death. Okay, so the same souls will find themselves again in asshole form. And there was a guy, Paul told me about it, he knew a guy during his high school years, someone in his high school, a guy who said he heard about the Blue Fire Witch, he's going to put it to the test. So he drives his car alone at night through the elfin forest in Southern California. Okay, and he sees a blue light shining through the trees, a very, very blue indigo light, like flashing through the trees. And he got a little scared, and he didn't see anything else. And then after a while he was driving through the elfin forest, all of a sudden he sees a woman in the middle of the highway, standing there with wide open eyes like the Medusa, dressed in clothes of the 1800s, and screaming and trying to stop him. And he drives right, he tries to swerve, but she is fast, and she throws herself in front of his truck, and then he just drives over her. That's the kind of guy he is. But that was a ghost, so you can't drive over a ghost. So what did the ghost do? She clung to the back of his truck and climbed into the truck and stared at him through the back window of his truck. And he was completely freaking out. And he just keeps driving and driving and driving anyway. It's really fast, driven by the devil himself or herself, right? He gets into the next community, and the ghost was gone by then. So then he comes back to school and tells everyone what happened. Of course, Paul is skeptical. He didn't really believe it, and today he doesn't believe it at all. But he told me the story anyway, and the way I am, I believe it. I do believe it, because that's not the only story that has come to the surface about the revenge of witches. Okay, so Helena Petrovna Blavatsky clearly said in the beginning of her secret doctrine, and I just recently found out she wrote this in Würzburg, Germany, southern Germany. She has resided in many different countries, and she wrote these secret doctrines in Würzburg, Germany. But I believe she wrote them in Russian and then translated them into English. I don't think she spoke German. So I think she just wanted to be left alone. She wanted to have a refuge where she has peace, where she can write this. And she wrote in the beginning of the Secret Doctrine, the volume 1, she wrote, "Do not use the occult for selfish reasons or for reasons of revenge." Okay. That's very crystal clear. This is a universal law. And to me, this is not just dogmatic. This is not just some kind of commandment or a religious statement or a moral preaching or something like this. For me, I recognize this as truth. At least I recognize it as the blue God, infinite cosmos law. Okay, that's universal law. And if you breach that, you will be in it for more hard, real grinding lessons and lifetimes. And I will be, even though I understand it, I will still come back in difficult lifetimes, many more times. I wished I didn't. I wished I didn't have to. I wished I could end this lifetime now. I wished I could just end it and be done with all of it. But you can't. If I ended it now, I will come back as maybe probably someone just like myself right now. And if I end this lifetime properly, I will come back as a Great Dane, an albino male Great Dane, like Kenny. And if I end that properly, which I will, of course, because as a dog you don't have a choice, then I have mastered that, and then in the next one I will come back as a European Basset Hound female mama dog. So, and after that I will come back as a human, as a woman. And after that I will come back as a human man, and back and forth. Okay. Man, woman, woman, animal, human. So, and that's how it goes. Maybe I'll come back as a plant once in a while, so I can smell the flower. But all of these lifetimes, they exist for us to learn from. And it's rough. And when I look at David Wilcock's life, it makes me cry, because there wasn't even anger. It's like, that's the life of a yogi. If people want to be cruel to him, then he lets them be cruel to him. All the women that he had, they were cruel. Some of them collaborators, probably, with the underworld to spy on him. Because the underworld knew that he was Edgar Casey. They knew that he was an advanced soul. They knew that he had contact to extraterrestrials. And they tried to get that information out of him. But he knew intuitively who he could tell this to and who he could not tell this to, no matter how much they tortured him with energy weapons. Okay. And so I believe that David Wilcock was in communication with Donald Trump and was giving Donald Trump and the US military information on advanced technology, and that the underworld didn't want, of course, so they killed him. And that's how they function. And even though they tortured him with energy weapons first, to try to make him look exhausted or crazy even, David Wilcock was never in a state of hate. Okay. People that can't even feel hate, then, like my friend Birgit, she was a sonnet too. Those people that will end up dead one way or another, either because of exhaustion, murder, or the C word, I don't want to say it. If you don't even have anger, if you don't even have really a way to talk it all out and cry it all out or scream it out, then that's not good at all. But Thich Nhat Hanh said it very clearly: anger is not the path. And I understand that now. I really understand it. I don't want to let it out I don't even want to let it out on my pillow, which I have in the past. I don't even want to hammer my fists into my mattress and pillow. Because Thich Nhat Hanh is absolutely right. We actually train ourselves to keep punching if we do that. It becomes an outlet. It becomes a knee-jerk reaction. And that is not a good mental state to be in. So what I do with the anger, and I have terrible hatred come up once in a while, I sit with it and I let it funnel into the only path that I allow, and that is self-pity and crying. And pity for other beings. Pity for the pigs and for people like David Wilcock, okay, and my friend Birgit. For the sonnets that hold the other cheek, the sonnets that let the criminal hurt them even more. For the ones that say to the criminal, I am sad about how you treat me, but here I'm holding the other cheek, so you can slap me here too. That's sad. That's very sad. I'm not there yet, but I don't want to even see. I was outside grounding myself, and I had some real good ideas on a novel. And then I think, okay, I can let it all out in my novel, and I can just hammer it all out in the novel. But then I thought about what Thich Nhat Hanh said and Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. Even a novel is a form of communication. And if you put anger into that, that's better than letting it out on a person, of course. But even in a novel, every book has an influence on the reader, right? So if I hammer it all out, like, for example, the guy did with the movie, that movie was The Clown, with Joaquin Phoenix. Okay, so I understand every moment of it. I understand the feelings. I understand why Joaquin Phoenix would do this. I think Joaquin Phoenix is probably an atheist. He doesn't think that these kind of things have supernatural effect on people. I was almost going to watch the movie, The Joker, and then I decided I'm not going to watch the movie, because then that reinforces my own Joker that I have inside my own Medusa, gets me the wrong ideas, and it is a negative influence. It is war influence, okay? And that is not how we make the world better. Unfortunately, it isn't. I mean, if someone comes here to kill us, I will kill that person. It's self-defense, okay? But if I see someone preach Jesus in the Dollar Tree store, for example, it itches in my hand. To go over there, which I have done, and unload my mind on that person. And obviously, that's not going to teach that person anything. It just reassures that person that the opposition is bad and I better continue preaching Jesus and you must repent to Jesus and this kind of all that shit business. And then preaching and then because I wanted to test her, I said, so make sure to vote for Donald Trump. Okay, so just make sure. That was before the elections, and the woman goes all apeshit on me and says, no, he's the Antichrist and stuff like. And I said, that's sad that the evangelical church is now siding with the underworld, with the human traffickers. And that old lady that was standing there, she was like all indignated by my statement. And I said, have a good one, and I walked off. But I was boiling, okay. I felt like killing both of them. So, but I didn't because of prefrontal cortex. So Frankenstein comes in handy with that kind of situation. Or I would have gone ape shit as ape shit goes, right? So, and then we would have had a scene in there. Bad scene, bad. And the police would have come, would have arrested me. And they would have put these other two ladies in the hospital. And that would not be good. No, that is not good. No, that's not good. And that's why I listened to Thich Nhat Hanh, and I listened to Helena Petrovna, okay, and the Blue God, and also Chugiyam Trungpa and Pema Children, and all of these people that teach us peace, okay, peaceful conduct. Okay, so no, you don't want to go ape shit at the Dollar Tree store. That's not a good idea. But it was boiling. and I had to suppress it. And I had to continue shopping, like as if nothing happened. And then because of this, because of the suppression, I started to get schizophrenic when I got home. And then it because it implodes one way or another, right? If it doesn't implode outwardly, it will implode inwardly. And then Paul has to put up with all of that. And then I start to get schizophrenic with avoidance, and then I couldn't visit the Dollar Tree store for 2 years or something like that. Or 2 or 3 years. Okay, so it's these kind of things. Okay, it's because I'm radically honest about my mental state. Because I believe that I'm not the only one who is schizophrenic and who also has anger problems. Okay, I'm not the only one. So if you let it out, then of course, then it doesn't implode into schizophrenia. If you let it out, then you're cluster B. If you let it out, right? Then you end up in prison. You're a psychopath. You're a sociopath. You're someone who can't control their mental faculties, of course, which is the majority of people in prison, and that will be for the next, I don't know, 10 years of your life, be in prison. I don't know if that accomplishes anything. So you might also get murdered there, or end up in solitary confinement. Is that what you intend with this lifetime? That's not what I want in my lifetime. No, as difficult as it is to do not go apeshit, it is very difficult. I know how difficult it is. But this is probably the most honest video I've ever made. I kind of feel like I have nothing to lose. That's why I make these videos. Because my life is hell. But being in prison would be more hellish. That's a fact. No, I'm not finished yet. This is my therapy here. It's my therapist, the computer. My life is hellish. Maybe it doesn't look like it's hellish, right? You think I got things under control, everything nice and orderly and clean, and I'm an artist, activist. I contribute to making the world better. I have a baby dog that I love dearly and infinitely much. I love Paul infinitely much, even though it's hellish with Paul. We don't get along, and it's like a golden cage. It's unimaginably lonely, my life. But the alternative would be worse. Okay? Prison would be worse. Being tortured by a human trafficker or organ harvester or biomedical research lab being interested in psychics would be worse. Okay, being held there indefinitely, being operated on, having stuff removed, having blood taken for people to inject into them, and who knows what they might do. They might eat some of my brain. Because people are deranged, just in case you didn't know that yet. Okay. Just a lot of deranged people in this world. Oh yeah. No one calls them crazy. No. They call the animal rights activists crazy. Unhinged. You're unhinged, they all say to me. But they themselves, they eat psychic people's brains. Yeah. So that's not unhinged? No, I don't know what unhinged is then. So, but whatever. They call me deranged. Look no further than Governor Newsom. That guy is deranged. If you knew what he does in his private life, sometimes he descends in an elevator for 10 minutes, high speed down. What is he doing there? Wearing a mask? So he won't be recognized by the security guards. Okay, so I leave you with this now. Have a good night. Peace and love for all living beings.